For 30 years, Wichita, Kansas suffers at the hands of a faceless and brutal killer who binds, suffocates, and strangles his victim. But in 2005, a suspect is arrested, and 7 families hope they'll finally get justice for their loved ones. He called himself BTK.
On the outside, he looked like a regular guy, a family man, a church leader, a city code officer. Behind closed doors, Dennis Rader was hiding a dark secret. Known to the world as the BTK Killer,
which stood for his particular method of murder: find, torture, kill.
His ordinary-looking home in Kansas became the backdrop for one of America's most twisted true crime stories.
This is the house where it all started. This is where BTK...
If you drove through Park City, Kansas in the early 2000s, you'd probably never notice the beige ranch-style house at 6220 Independence Street. It sat quietly on a modest street, like hundreds of other middle-class homes in America. Trimmed lawn, tidy driveway, curtains drawn. Nothing about it would ever hint that inside lived one of the most infamous serial killers in U.S. history. This house wasn't just Dennis Rader's home, it was where he hid in plain sight, living a disturbingly normal life while keeping his dark secrets sealed behind those walls. Rader moved into the Park City home in the early 1980s with his wife Paula and their 2 children. It was the picture of suburban stability. He worked regular jobs, including as a security system installer with ADT and later as a compliance officer for the city. He was an active member of Christ Lutheran Church, where he even served as president of the church council. He coached his kids' sports teams, attended school events, and hosted family dinners. By all accounts, he was a friendly neighbor and an engaged citizen. Behind the ordinary facade of his home, he was anything but. Inside the house, Rader created a hidden world where he could feed his obsession with control and violence. He stored newspaper clippings about his crimes, journals documenting every chilling detail, and even kept trophies from his victims, small, disturbing reminders of what he'd done. The house may have looked harmless from the outside, but it became a disturbing hub for his alter ego, BTK, short for bind, torture, kill. What's particularly unsettling is how perfectly the house mirrored his public persona. It was organized, quiet, and unassuming, just like him. He managed to fool his community, his co-workers, and even his own family for decades. Neighbors were shocked when he was arrested in 2005. Many had known him for years and couldn't reconcile the man they waved to on their morning walks with the serial killer now making headlines around the world. The home at 6220 Independence Street became a media frenzy after his arrest. Reporters gathered out front, snapping photos of the house that had hidden so many dark truths. Eventually, the property was sold and the new owners remodeled it, trying to distance the place from its grim history. But no matter how much you renovate, the story tied to that address is impossible to erase. Before the neatly trimmed lawn and quiet suburban home in Park City, Dennis Rader was just a kid growing up in Kansas. But even in those early years, the warning signs were there, hidden in plain sight, much like the man himself would later be. Born on March 9, 1945 in Pittsburgh, Kansas, Rader was the oldest of 4 boys. The family later moved to Wichita, where he spent most of his formative years. From the outside, seemed like a normal Midwestern upbringing. But those who knew him recalled that he was different, quiet, withdrawn, and eerily detached. Rader's childhood home wasn't remarkable, it was a modest house, similar to those found throughout Wichita's working-class neighborhoods. But inside those walls, his thoughts began to twist into something darker. As a young boy, he showed early signs of deviant behavior, torturing small animals, tying them up in ways that would later mirror the horrific methods he'd used on his victims. He later admitted that even during his school years, he would fantasize about bondage and control. These fantasies became his escape, growing more elaborate as he got older. Despite these disturbing thoughts, Rader maintained an image of normalcy. He attended Riverview Elementary and Wichita Heights High School, where he was mostly unremarkable. Average grades, nothing flashy. He wasn't popular or particularly outgoing, but he also didn't set off any alarms. After high school, he briefly attended Kansas Wesleyan University before joining the Air Force in 1966. For many young men, military service is a path to structure and discipline. But for Rader, it was just another mask. During his years in the Air Force, he was stationed in several places, including Texas and Okinawa. He followed the rules, kept his head down, and earned an honorable discharge. Once again, he slipped through the cracks by doing just enough to seem normal. After returning to Wichita in 1970, he got a job at a local grocery store and soon after married Paula Dietz. The two eventually settled down, started a family, and bought a home in Park City. From the outside, it was the classic American dream: wife, kids, a house, a job. But inside Rader's mind, the darkness was still there, stronger than ever. He went back to school during this time, earning an associate degree in electronics from Butler County Community College in 1973, then a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Wichita State University. The irony of him studying law enforcement while planning and executing murders isn't lost on anyone. He wanted to understand how the system worked, not so he could join it, but so he could beat it. By the time Dennis Rader committed his first known murders in 1974, the foundation had already been set. His childhood, his habits, his personality, all of it quietly built up to that moment. Just like the homes he lived in, his life looked ordinary on the outside, while inside, it was anything but. By the early 1980s, Dennis Rader had fully planted himself into the fabric of Park City. He had the job, the family, the reputation. He was the guy who'd lend a hand fixing a neighbor's fence or hand out parking citations as the town's compliance officer. But behind the front door of 6220 Independence Street, his true self, BTK, was thriving. Rader's home was no mansion. It was a small, beige, single-story house with a basement, a garage, and a modest yard. Just your typical suburban dwelling. But what happened inside was anything but ordinary. While his wife and kids lived unaware upstairs, Rader used the privacy of that home to write out his sadistic fantasies, craft disturbing letters to police and the media, and store chilling evidence of his crimes. Down in the basement, which became his private workspace, Rader had boxes filled with what he called mother loads. Folders stuffed with clippings about his murders, Polaroids of victims, drawings of bondage scenarios, and written descriptions of every gruesome detail. It was his secret world, hidden just beneath the surface of everyday life. He kept souvenirs from his victims, driver's licenses, pieces of clothing, and even bindings used during his attacks. These weren't just mementos, they were the tools of a killer who needed to relive his crimes. The chilling part? While his wife prepared dinner upstairs or his kids watched TV, Rader could be just a floor below, feeding his dark side in absolute silence. His behavior around the house often raised suspicion, but never enough to tip anyone off. He was known to be controlling, even petty, especially in his role as a compliance officer. He issued harsh fines for uncut grass or stray pets, and kept detailed records of neighborhood violations. It was a small-town role with a taste of authority, and Rader used it to the fullest. The thrill of control bled into every corner of his life, both legal and criminal. Despite his increasingly erratic communications with the media in the early 2000s, taunting police, demanding credit for old crimes, no one suspected the man living quietly on Independence Street. He had gone cold for over a decade after his last known murder in 1991, but when he resurfaced in 2004, sending packages and letters again, he couldn't help himself. The need for recognition returned, and it would ultimately lead to his capture. In 2005, police arrested Rader not far from his home. The search of the residence revealed everything: the letters, the trophies, the documents, the digital files. His family was stunned. The community was shaken, and that unassuming little house in Park City was forever marked by its horrifying history. Today, the house still stands, though it's changed hands and been remodeled. Still, for many in Kansas and across the world, it's not just a house. It's a grim reminder that evil can live anywhere, hide behind any door, and wear any face, even that of the neighbor next door with a badge and a friendly wave. Dennis Rader's story didn't unfold in some shadowy lair. It happened in the quiet comfort of a suburban home. A place meant for safety turned into a silent witness to unimaginable darkness. What are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.